it's the international break, so that means what, Jed? People are miserable because the Premier League and the Championship and all the other leagues aren't about, especially England fans at the moment after what's happened. But who's to blame? This argument came out of the most organic and beautiful thing, the pub. We had an argument then, and now we're going to put it on a camera. We're going to decide which percentage of fans, players, managers and the media deserve the blame for what is England right now. 10%, yes Jed, 10% of the accountability for what is going wrong with the England national team right now is down to us. It's down to the fans. A lot of people, this is quite a dangerous thing for me to say, but I believe it. I think we have a choice to be optimistic about England and their future. Forget the past, but because of the past, England fans are very, very quick to get angry at the national team and to make that pressure even worse. It can't just be everyone, it's got to be us too. We've got to look at ourselves.
James, I can't believe you're even throwing that argument out there.
This is what kicked off the pub argument.
Yeah, even now, stone cold sober, as we record this, I just think of all the people to lay the blame at the door of, the fans are surely not the one. Is it so much to ask that your national side could provide you with a little bit of excitement along the way? Now, I think realistically, fans aren't expecting England to win the Euros or to win that anymore.
So that's where I think you're wrong. That's where I think you're wrong. I think we go, oh, no, we don't expect anything anymore. But then as soon as we go out of a tournament, we do go, oh, when are we going to win? When are we going to win? And then if you look at Wales, look at the Iceland fans, of course, the expectations for them are completely different. But fans do play a huge part in making a player feel confident or feel like they're in quicksand. And I know English fans who go all over the world following their team. They are real fans, there's no doubt about that. But I think the wider masses of England fans are very ready for England to trip up, and they're kind of waiting for it even before it even happens. And I think that affects the players.
See, that's where I think you're wrong. I think genuinely England fans, and I can say this from a neutral perspective, right?
Welsh. Yeah. I don't believe it either.
I can genuinely say this, that I don't think England fans want them to fail. They just haven't seen anything to give them a reason to get excited. You know, the fans you were over there, you saw how excited they got about the side. They want them to do well, right? They're the ones who are shelling out the money to go and watch it. And even people are going and watching it down the pub. Would you not much rather watch an England side that plays well?
Of course you would, but I think there's a choice here. You can be optimistic or pessimistic. When the new managers keep changing, we'll get onto that. The groaning and lack of optimism for our national team is understandable, but ultimately it's a choice. And I think we can do a little more and be a bit brighter about it.
But fans expected to just sit there and go, okay, yeah, this is fine, everything's great, we've had another abject failure at a tournament. I don't think that fans should just sit there and take it. Right, I'm giving players 35% of the responsibility here. I think it's time for them to actually sit there and go, right, I could have stood up and done something a little bit differently. You take that Iceland game in particular, the last 5 minutes they could barely trap a ball. Now these we're led to believe are some of the best players in the Premier League, if not in the world. And if they can't take a bit of the responsibility to go out there, do something different and actually look like they care, then really, where are you?
Look, I'm giving them 30% here. So, of course, look, the game is played on the pitch and you've got to deal with that. But I think there are other factors that make life for those players a lot harder. And the fact that you say that they don't care, I think this is an absolute, not an absolute myth, but I think to play for your country, 9 times out of 10, why would you even put yourself in that arena if you don't care? You play your whole life to get to these moments. And the fact that people go, oh, because you're earning a huge amount of money, it doesn't mean you equate to you caring. I just think that's just too easy.
Well, look, we're never going to know whether players care or not, because you're going to hear media saying bites and ultimately you don't know what an individual's feeling is going to be like. But what I'm saying is actually it could come across as though they care a little bit more. Come back to that last 5 minutes against Iceland, try something different. The only player who looked as though it actually meant anything to was the 18-year-old kid who came on with 5 minutes to go. Maybe
they are trying their best, they just haven't had the rub of the green.
Look, you just shouldn't need the rub of the green to beat a side like Iceland.
Fair enough.
As Flav says, right, fish stinks from the head down.
And he stinks.
And he does. So for me, it's the managers who've got to carry the can on this one. And I'm saying 45% of the blame lies at their door. In particular with Roy Hodgson, right, is you've got a set of individuals there. He knew it was going to be his last tournament. He had a chance to go out and play some kind of football that might actually get the English public excited about it. Did he do it? Did he bugger? He left form individuals out of the side. He let Harry Kane take free kicks, and that's what's led to it not being a cohesive team unit.
We do need a manager who's going to galvanise that team, but when you've got everything else against you, it's going to make life a lot harder. I'm one of those people who thought Roy Hodgson, yes, it ultimately was a complete failure on his part, but Roy Hodgson wouldn't have got to this level if he hadn't been a decent manager.
Ask Liverpool fans that.
And I know you will go and say that, but decades and decades he's been in management. Again, you don't make it this far without having some kind of intelligence in terms of management. It's the same with Harry Redknapp. That's why he lasted. I can't believe I just used Harry Redknapp as an example. Harry Redknapp survived for so long. Alex Ferguson for so long. All these guys that stick around for so long, if they were rubbish, they'd disappear because they'd fail and fail and fail. These guys don't fail and fail and fail. And once they get put into that position of being the England manager, maybe what we actually need to do is get behind them and see them as someone who does know what they're doing, so it can create a confidence that goes throughout the rest of the team and the squad and the country, instead of desperately waiting to yank them down from that pedestal that they've tentatively now decided to climb up upon. I understand that we're all football fans. We just want England to do well, and the emotions can run high. But actually, a more calculated and fairer view of the players and the manager, it might lead us to all getting to a point where the players are looking to achieve instead of to avoid failure.
Media's just a way too easy excuse. It's been churned out for years how the media is to blame for the England national side's failure, and I'm just not buying that anymore. Right? Bit like no one's buying the newspapers anymore. Their circulations are in decline. I don't think that pressure is there from the journalists anymore. And then take a look at the broadcast media, right? It's made up of ex-pros who will sit there and openly defend Wayne Rooney constantly, despite the fact that the guy's a busted flush.
That's nonsense. No one's defending Wayne Rooney anymore. I think I'm probably one of the few people who still thinks he's actually a decent footballer. It's so easy to go, oh, okay, he's a little bit chunky, Rooney. Oh, hang on, is he 30 yet? He's 30 now, so right, he must be rubbish. That all comes from the press. If people are going, oh, Rooney was incredible, see how he was passing the balls about, that would affect the narrative in a different way. And that's why the media have got a lot to answer for, because they're going for those topics instead.
Well, you must have been watching a different game to me, because I didn't see anything of watching Wayne Rooney in midfield that made me think he looked in the slightest bit comfortable.
Not Russia? Not the FA Cup final? Not against West Ham away? All these games, people were writing how incredible he was in midfield. But now it's just a decision that he can't do it anymore.
Look, the world we live in now, media isn't just about TV and press, right? It's about everyone, including you guys out there. And this is it. Everyone gets to have their say on it. So I don't think the media is a thing that's based on Fleet Street and based in big journalist offices anymore. It's something that's way more open to interpretation. I just think it's a far too easy excuse, and it shouldn't be used and churned out anymore.
But you've got 20% down for media, so you're giving some blame to them. So where's that come from?
Well, there's a certain historic element in there, right? If we're talking about the England national football team across history, and yeah, some of those titles really revel in the misery. The turnip headlines, the Swede stuff with Sven. But I just don't think it's an excuse anymore, because the world has moved on. And I think players live in a bit of a bubble now where I don't think it affects them.
At the end of the day, I think it has to be shared round, the accountability, for us to move forward and be a country that goes into a tournament and you've got a set of players there that are excited to be there, genuinely excited to be there, and not dreading the fact that they might lose it and then they're going to be scapegoated once again. And a huge reason for that, for me, is the media. Not the media we have now, because I think everyone, as Jed said, has their opinion, and that's a great thing, because you can have considered ones as well as the extremities. But I do believe that there is a build-up there that has created a fear amongst England fans and England players and the manager, and a perception that means that we're never going to be successful. Until we have a little bit more optimism, I think we're always going to struggle when it comes to major tournaments.
For me, it's really simple. James needs to get off the fence. If the players and the managers give the fans and the media something to believe in, then the rest is going to follow, and your apathy problem goes away.
So that's how we see the whole situation with England at the moment, but we want you guys to decide. Use the poll cards right now. You can do your votes as we speak. If you've enjoyed this video, then give us a like. Let us know in the comments below how you would split up the percentages of the responsibility of the current England setup. If you enjoyed You Decide, then there's loads on a playlist. There's one probably around hovering about here, Jed. You click on that and you can watch more. And make sure you go and subscribe to Ball Street.